All right, so moving on to the final segment, I'll be sharing my NFL wildcard game predictions for this weekend's slate of playoff football. So I'll be sharing my AFC and NFC game predictions. Starting off with the NFC, you'll see the fourth seeded Carolina Panthers take on the fifth seeded Los Angeles Rams. These are the following game plans that I have for these teams to follow. Starting off with the Carolina Panthers, they got to rely on their quarterback, Bryce Young, in big moments. Bryce Young, it's time to put your big boy pants on and come and show up and play off football. This man is in year 3 of his NFL career, and honestly, his third year has been his best year of his NFL career. But you look at the game film when the Panthers defeated the Rams a month or so ago, 31-28 at home. Bryce Young actually played very well in that game. He went 15 for 20 passing, 3 passing touchdowns in the first matchup. I think he has to play mistake-free football like he did against the Rams in the first matchup. And Bryce Young, I know he can step up in big moments. In his young NFL career, he's already had 11 game-winning drives in his young NFL career. So it's not like Bryce Young can't show up in big moments if needed. He's got to do it if the Carolina Panthers want to have a chance to victory against the Los Angeles Rams this weekend. And also, the Carolina Panthers got to depend on their defense. Depend on the defense to create turnovers. Now, this goes back to their first matchup. When the Panthers defeated the Rams by a score of 31-28 at home, they had success on the defensive side of the ball. They got home to Matthew Stafford. They were putting the pressure on him, sacked him twice, and they picked off Matthew Stafford twice and forced the fumble. So you got 3 forced turnovers with 2 sacks and a lot of pressure on Matthew Stafford in the first matchup. They got to have the same key ingredient to success for this game. If they want to advance to the divisional round, they got to slow down Matthew Stafford's high-powered Rams offense and get key third down stops to get their defense off the damn field. So those are the game plans I have for the Carolina Panthers. Now for the Los Angeles Rams, they got to get their set of receivers going. Get this high-powered offense going. Let's get Matthew Stafford going. Matthew Stafford had his best regular season of his NFL career. Honestly, could win his first MVP this year. But they got to get the receivers going, get the passing game going with Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, Davante Adams, who they love to throw to in the red zone, will be back for this game. And actually, he got hurt. I think the last time we've seen Davante Adams was against the Carolina Panthers, so he'll be back for this game. They also got to play mistake-free football. The Rams have to play mistake-free football. Oh, actually, I apologize. The last time we seen Davante Adams when they played the Detroit Lions. I apologize on that. But going back to my point, the Los Angeles Rams got to play mistake-free football. The slate of turnovers hurt them in the first matchup. Like I just said, Matthew Stafford throwing 2 interceptions, a fumble, and getting sacked twice. That hurt the Rams offense on the road against the Carolina Panthers. You're going back to Carolina, so play mistake-free football. That's honestly one of the reasons why the Panthers kept opening the door and had several opportunities to win that game in the first place. So play mistake-free football, play your brand of offense, and they have a chance of advancing to the divisional round after Wild Card Weekend. But with that being said, I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Rams to defeat the Carolina Panthers. Guys, guys and gals, if you're a Panthers fan, I'm sorry, this is an incoming belt-to-ass treatment that the Rams are about to give the Panthers. I think the Rams are just a better overall team with much more experience. And you're playing an inexperienced Panthers team that is not accustomed to being in the playoffs with this type of young roster that they have. Honestly, I think this will be the least competitive game of Wild Card Weekend. I think Matthew Stafford's going to get going. The running game of Kyren Williams and Blake Corum, their 1-2 punch at the running back position, they're going to be able to run the football. The receivers, Puka Nacua, Davante Adams is going to be targeted heavily in the red zone. If you're really worried about one-on-one looks in the red zone to Davante Adams, that could open the door for Puka Nacua, give him some opportunities, other receiving opportunities, or for them to just run the football in the red zone. I just think there's too many paths to victory for the Los Angeles Rams compared to the Carolina Panthers, and I don't see the Panthers pulling this one out. I think the Los Angeles Rams advance to the divisional round, and the Carolina Panthers season ends Saturday afternoon. So for the Saturday night game, you have the second seed in the NFC, the Chicago Bears, taking on the 7th-seeded Green Bay Packers. This is going to be round 3 of the historic rivalry between the Bears and the Packers this year. The series is tied 1-1. So the game plans I have for these teams to follow, starting off with the Green Bay Packers. They got to lean on their franchise quarterback, Jordan Love. Jordan Love has not been seen in the lineup for the last couple weeks, but he's going to be back in action for this game on the road in Chicago. Jordan Love has to step up to the plate. This season, he's had 23 passing touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He'll have to step up big for the Green Bay Packers in this game against the Chicago Bears. Spread the ball around to your wide receivers. Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, all of them going to have to get busy against this ferocious Dennis Allen Chicago Bears defense if the Green Bay Packers want to have a chance to victory in this game. Next, I think the defense has to put Caleb Williams in a box. And what I mean by put Caleb Williams in a box, if you guys watched the first half of the 2 games when they played each other at Lambeau, when they played each other at Soldier Field, Caleb Williams took a lot of time to get going and honestly didn't find his footing and his rhythm in those 2 games until the second half of those games. So that's what I mean. Put Caleb Williams in a box, contain him, make sure he doesn't run out of the numbers. Make sure he's not making plays with his legs, trying to extend plays with his legs, throwing the football down the field. Make Caleb Williams feel uncomfortable if you're the Green Bay Packers defense. Force him to turn over the football and not allow points when you're on the field, whether it's 3 points or 6 points. Don't surrender any points. And I think they have a good chance of victory if they could do those things against Caleb Williams. Now, for the Chicago Bears got to start off red hot. Caleb Williams has to get going on a hot start. That goes with my point. You cannot wait until the second half of ball games to turn up against this Green Bay Packers defense like he did in the first 2 meetings, because this time it won't be good enough in the playoffs. I think Caleb Williams has to start off red hot, put his foot on the gas pedal, never look back. And the defense of the Chicago Bears has to show up. They actually lead the league in takeaways with 33 takeaways this NFL season. They got to limit the big plays down the field defensively, limit the big passes down the field, stop the running game. And I think they could be in position to defeat the Green Bay Packers this weekend in the wild card. But with that being said, I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears to defeat the Green Bay Packers wild card weekend. I think it's going to come down to which quarterback has a better game, Caleb Williams or Jordan Love. And I'm going with Caleb Williams to have the better game. Therefore, I'm putting my faith and my belief in the Chicago Bears to defeat the Green Bay Packers this weekend. But the thing is, the Bears have to start off fast. They have to put their foot on the gas pedal offensively, never look back. Because if you look at those 2 games in Lambeau Field, in Soldier Field, Caleb Williams started off slow in the first half in those 2 games. If you do that against the Green Bay Packers in the playoffs, it ain't going to be good enough, and they're going to be in a world of trouble. So Caleb Williams in the offense has to start off fast and efficient, and they can't be stuck in first gear. I think the Chicago Bears, a key ingredient for victory, Ben Johnson should know they have to win time of possession. Be greedy, run the football, and take the pressure off of Caleb Williams in his first playoff start. Run the football, make sure you control time of possession to keep the Green Bay Packers offense waiting on the sidelines, and make sure they don't have opportunities to score against your own defense. But speaking of the defense, I'm leaning towards the Bears because they have a really solid defense led by Dennis Allen, their defensive coordinator. They've been really good all year long. They actually lead the league in takeaways with 33 takeaways this season. They got to limit the big passes down the field defensively. They have to limit the big passes down the field, stop the running game, and try to create turnovers and put the pressure on Jordan Love to make some mistakes, and make sure that he is not able to capitalize on any opportunities that could present itself late in the ball game. If the Bears do that, I think they could win wild card weekend and punch their ticket to the divisional round of the NFC playoffs. Next game, we're going with the AFC here. We have the 3rd-seeded Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the 6th-seeded Buffalo Bills. Game plans for this game. Starting out for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville Jaguars got to run the damn football. The Bills' front 7 has actually struggled at stopping the running game this year. And the Bills have actually given up 5 yards per carry to running backs. That's actually ranked 30th in the league. So I think Liam Cohen and the Jacksonville Jaguars offense to get going with the RPO game with Trevor Lawrence running the football. He's been very efficient running the football, making plays with his legs. I think he has 8 to 9 rushing touchdowns this year, so very efficient at the quarterback position for rushing touchdowns. And they should also run the ball with Travis Etienne, win time of possession to keep Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills offense on the sidelines. Next, I think they should create turnovers. The Jacksonville Jaguars should create turnovers. They're second in the league behind the Chicago Bears in total turnovers this season. 31 total turnovers this season. They got to put the pressure on Josh Allen. Get sacks, get interceptions, get fumbles, and get third down stops to make sure you put your team in position, good field position for the Jacksonville Jaguars offense to cash in on 3 points or 6 points as this game goes on. Next team, the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills got a lockdown defensively. The secondary honestly does not allow a lot of big time plays down the field. And you're facing the best version of Trevor Lawrence. Like I said, Liam Cohen has honestly fixed the mechanics of Trevor Lawrence. The Bills secondary, though, only allows 156.9 passing yards per game. But the only flaw is they struggle in the red zone and they struggle on getting third down stops. If you stop the big time passes down the field, if you're the Buffalo Bills secondary, if you go locked down in the red zone, not allow the big time passes to happen in the red zone, you get key third down stops, you lock in defensively, you have a good chance of pulling off a big win on the road this weekend in wild card action. And last but not least, the Bills got to run the football. That has been their identity as an offensive unit, running the football. They have a dynamic quarterback and running back duo of Josh Allen and James Cook. James Cook has actually had over 1,600 rushing yards with 12 rushing touchdowns this year. And that's one of the reasons why the Bills are very efficient offensively this year. That has opened the door for them to average 28 points per game. So if you get the running game, draw up some run designs with your mobile quarterback, Josh Allen, run the football with one of the best running backs in the league of James Cook, that can honestly open the playbook open for play action looks. We know that the Bills love to run play action looks, and that can open the playbook open for play action looks or for Josh Allen to throw the ball down the field and cash in on some opportunities that the Jacksonville Jaguars defense might present as the game goes on. But with that being said, I'm going to go with the Bills to defeat the Jacksonville Jaguars wild card weekend. Now, this is a very tough task for the Buffalo Bills, but the Bills will have to be nearly flawless to pull off this victory against the Jacksonville Jaguars wild card weekend, because the Jacksonville Jaguars are hot as a forest fire and they're a force to be reckoned with. But I'm putting my trust in the Buffalo Bills here because I do believe this is Josh Allen's best chance to at least make the Super Bowl without Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, or Lamar Jackson in his path. But he has to take care of business wildcard weekend against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I think Josh Allen's going to put on a show. He's going to have at least 3 to 4 total touchdowns, whether it's passing or rushing touchdowns. He's going to be effective passing the ball, running the football. And I think you lean on the identity of the Bills running the football with Josh Allen, James Cook. That's the reason why they average 28 points per game. And if you open up the running game is efficient. That opens up the playbook for play action looks and some deep shots down the field that Josh Allen could take advantage of the Jacksonville Jaguars defense that could present opportunities for him to go deep down the field. So I'm putting my trust in the Buffalo Bills. And one of the other reasons is the secondary doesn't give up big plays all season long. They haven't, and they've only given up 156.9 passing yards per game. They got to be able to create turnovers, get third down stops to get Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars offense off the field to put them in great field position for the Bills to win this game. I'm going with the Bills. Next game in the NFC, going back to the NFC, you have the 3rd seeded Philadelphia Eagles taking on the 6th seeded San Francisco 49ers. Game plans for the 49ers, they got to be effective offensively. Kyle Shanahan's play calling has to be efficient against Vic Fangio's defense. That's going to be the battle of the game, the offense versus the defense. And they got to find a way to have success passing the football with Brock Purdy. They got to be able to run the football. They can't be one-dimensional. And you got to be able to run the football with Christian McCaffrey, get him going in the passing game as well, because he's had over 2,000 yards, total yards and scrimmage yards, passing, receiving yards, and running the football. And then you got to get your big tight end, George Kittle, involved in the passing game as well. If they play one-dimensional, they could be in a world of trouble against this Vic Fangio defense. And next for the San Francisco 49ers, they got to be able to stop the running game. Everybody knows the Philadelphia Eagles will be looking to run the football, and they've only given up an average. The 49ers defense gives up an average of 44.5 yards per carry. Saquon is going to get the ball a lot. The Eagles are going to be looking to control the time of possession a lot. So you got to be able to close in and stop the running game if you're the San Francisco 49ers. Then for the Eagles got to get going offensively. If they can get going offensively, they have a chance to win this game. And they have to do it. The offense has been ugly all year long. But if this is going to be a moment where they could possibly go on another run, they got to get past Robert Saleh's defense. So you got to be able to run the football. It's not that hard. It's not rocket science to know that Saquon Barkley is your best offensive player and get him the football. He had over 2,000 rushing yards last year. He had an effective run in the playoffs last year. Get him the football. And then if you can run the football, that opens the door for Jalen Hurts to use his legs with some run designs for him, and then you get your other pass catchers like A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert going in the passing game. And then, last but not least, I think the Philadelphia Eagles, they got to break Brock Purdy's will. And what I mean by break his will, they got to stop the passing game. If you can stop the passing game and make this a one-dimensional game, the Philadelphia Eagles have this game in the bag. And they've only allowed an average of 75.4 passer rating with 14 passing touchdowns allowed all season long. You got to get the pass rush going, and if you have the pass rush going, Brock Purdy's under a lot of stress and not able to do things and have time in the pocket to throw, then you could load the box to make sure everybody's prepared to stop the run of what the 49ers will try to do with running the football with Christian McCaffrey in the backfield. This game, I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles to defeat the San Francisco 49ers. Honestly, Jalen Hurts is picture perfect at home in Philly in playoff games. He's 5-0 in his NFL career. If playoff starts in Philadelphia. But the Eagles, they're going to have to be creative offensively. It's a tall task. Kevin Patulio's offense against Robert Saleh's defense. That's a tough task. I think the Eagles could get it done, though. It's not rocket science. Just run the football with Saquon Barkley. You run the football with Saquon Barkley, that opens up the entire playbook for some run designs for Jalen Hurts to get going with his legs. We all know how effective a rusher Jalen Hurts is. That can open the door for pass catchers like A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert to get going in the passing game for the Philadelphia Eagles. But I think this is going to come down to the offensive battle versus defensive battle, like I just said. Kyle Shanahan's offense versus Vic Fangio's defense. And I think Vic Fangio is going to have the last say at the end of the day in this battle. But the Eagles' pass rush, they're going to be getting home to Brock Purdy. I don't think Brock Purdy's going to have a lot of time in the pocket to have some time to look down the field and make some plays down the field. I think the pass rush is going to be all over Brock Purdy. And the secondary, the Eagles secondary always clamps down on the opposing receivers. They'll take away the receiving options that Brock Purdy will have. They'll take away George Kittle. And the Eagles, I hate to say it, their secondary has had success against tight ends all year long. And to my point, if you stop the passing game, which they've done all year long, the only quarterback that I can respectfully say has had their way against the Eagles secondary has been Dak Prescott. Other than that, I can't think of another one off the top of my head. But if you stop the passing game, then you can load the box and be prepared to stop the run against Christian McCaffrey and San Francisco 49ers. I just think the Eagles are going to pull off this victory against them in the wild card. The next game, you have the second, if going back to the AFC, you have the second-seeded New England Patriots taking on the seventh-seeded Los Angeles Chargers. Game plans for this game. If you're the Chargers, you got to find a way for your passing defense to slow down Drake May. Now, Drake May has been the most accurate quarterback in the National Football League this year. The Chargers defense has held a 75.0 passer rating allowed and has collected 19 interceptions as the season has went on and only allowing 20 points per game. So the Chargers defense got to be all the way locked in as they travel across the country, because they're on the West Coast, travel across the country to Foxborough to play the New England Patriots. It's going to be a tough task, but they got to do it. And then if you're the Chargers, you got to depend on Justin Herbert. This is year 6 now for Justin Herbert. A lot of people say he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. You got to show it in this game on the road against the New England Patriots. And I think it starts by getting your receivers open, getting your receivers the ball, I should say. Getting your receivers the ball, and Ladd McConkey, Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnson. You got to make the effective throws down the field, play mistake-free football. And if the Chargers do that, they could possibly pull off the upset on the road against the New England Patriots. Now, for the Patriots, they got to depend on Drake May. I just raved about how good the passing defense has been for the Los Angeles Chargers, but now I'm going to rave about how good the passing game for the New England Patriots has been, because Drake May is having one of the best sophomore seasons in NFL history. He could win his first MVP award in his sophomore year. 31 passing touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 113.5 passer rating. One of the reasons why the Patriots have won 13 out of 14 ball games. So If they're going to win this game, Drake May is going to have to get him out of a lot of predicaments and a lot of situations they could be in as the game goes on. But last but not least, the Patriots defense has to limit the Chargers from scoring offensive points. If they could do that, then they got a chance to win. Plus, the Chargers offensive line has been banged up all year long. The Patriots defense only gives up 18 points per game. Whether you want to say they had a cupcake schedule or not, only allowing 18 points per game in the National Football League level is impressive. So they got to stop the Chargers from making big-time plays down the field, and they got to be better at getting third down stops and create turnovers and put themselves in position to get 3 points to 6 points if the defense can get third down stops, get off the field, and then you get good field position if you get the turnovers. With that being said, give me the Patriots to defeat the Chargers. I think Drake May will find a way to defeat the Los Angeles Chargers at home and get his receiving options going. He's got Stephon Diggs to rely on. He's got Hunter Henry to rely on at the tight end position. Keyshawn Boutte at the wide receiver position. Mac Hollins at the wide receiver position. And I think they can also mix in the running game. They got a good 1-2 punch with Travion Henderson, their rookie running back from Ohio State, and Stevenson to take the pressure off of Drake May in this game. And also, I think the Patriots defense only surrendering 18 points per game is going to be a key factor in this game. Whether you guys want to say they had a cupcake schedule or not, only surrendering 18 points per game in the National Football League level is very impressive. So you got to put the pressure on Justin Herbert. They got a banged up offensive line. You get the turnovers. You put your team in a good field position to cash in on 3.6 points. They're looking pretty. And I think the New England Patriots will not cruise, but punch their ticket to the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. And in the final game in the AFC, you'll have the 4th seeded Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the 5th seeded Houston Texans. Now, game plans for the Pittsburgh Steelers: Aaron Rodgers got to get the ball out of his hands quickly. Now, we're talking about a 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers, one of the greatest of all time. But a 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers is not going to be able to move out of the pocket effectively with his legs. He's not that guy anymore. So he's not as mobile. So he's going to have to get the ball out of his hands quickly within 2 to 3 seconds. If not, he's in a world of trouble. Maybe get some screen look passes going, dump off passes to the flats, to his running backs. And also, they get DK Metcalf back from suspension. So you're going to have a lot of things go your way if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers in this ball game against the Houston Texans. And last but not least, the defensive line has to get home to CJ Stroud if they have a chance to win this ball game. Now, for the Texans, their defense has been a nightmare all season long. And I think this is one of the reasons why the Houston Texans are one of the scariest teams in the NFL playoffs this year. They know how to get sacks. They have a total of 47 sacks as a collective unit this NFL season. Their DBs, Derek Stingley and company, know what it's like to take the football away from opposing offenses. They know how to get interceptions and make it one-dimensional. If they make this game one-dimensional, the only way that the Pittsburgh Steelers have a clear path to victory in their eyes is passing the football. They've already won, because you're going to have to do more if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. And the Houston Texans defense only gives up 3.7 yards per carry to opposing running backs. So I think the Houston Texans defense is going to be outstanding in this game. And I think CJ Stroud can air it out. Now, looking back at that Sunday night game between the Steelers and the Ravens, Lamar Jackson found a lot of success throwing the ball down the field, a lot of deep shots, only completing on only had 11 completions in that victory or that loss against the Pittsburgh Steelers, but had a lot of success down the field, 15 plus yard passes or more down the field. I think if CJ Stroud gets that type of time in the pocket to find his receivers like Nico Collins or Jaden Higgins or Dalton Schultz, his reliable tight end, he can find success picking apart this Pittsburgh Steelers defense that's been inconsistent all year long. So this is a tough pick, guys. This one's a tough pick. I'm going to go with the Texans. I'm going to go with the Texans to defeat the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think this is going to be a grinded-out game. This is going to be a grinded-out game. The Texans are going to be the more physical team than the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're one of the hottest teams and one of the most scariest teams heading into the NFL playoffs. I think they're going to prove that on the road in Pittsburgh. For sports bettors out there, I think this could be a low-scoring game. The Texans' defense will cause several issues to the Pittsburgh Steelers' offense in this game. Looking at it, they're going to be able to generate a lot of sacks against a 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers, putting a lot of pressure under him, frustrate him. The DBs know how to get a lot of interceptions. They're going to find a way to close the door and get Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers offense off the field. They're really good at stopping the run, only give up an average of under 4 yards per carry. I just think this is a winnable game for the Houston Texans on the road. They'll get the victory against the Pittsburgh Steelers, punch their ticket to the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. But that is all the time I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. This is your host, Thomas Tyree, signing off. And I'll see you guys on next week's episode.